Hello, this is Michael Devlin with the Michael Devlin Group and eXp Realty. And I put together this short video to explain some criteria you might look for, thoughts that you might have, questions that you might ask if you're choosing a real estate office to affiliate with. How to choose a real estate company. Let's take a look at some of the types of real estate offices that you might encounter. There's the independent, the national franchise, and the cloud-based brokerage. Now, these are very general characterizations. There's lots of variations within this group, but this kind of summarizes the different types of real estate offices that you might be interested in working with. First of all, let's look at the independent. I actually have one. It's called Core Real Estate Advisors. It's in California. And some of the advantages of the independent is there's no monthly fees, right? At least with mine, there isn't. But you get less technology than you might from the other options. Now, that's not necessarily important to everybody. By technology, I mean websites and customer relationship management systems and software like that. There's some of that that's available for a very low cost, and actually Google will do a lot of that. There's a higher commission split. You get paid generally more when you close a transaction, but there's no cap necessarily, which means when you reach a certain point, you go to 100%. However, that's something that we could talk about. There is training, and it's done by the office, plus there's training from the Association of Realtors and the Multiple Listing Service, but no nationwide training system. It's an independent. There's no revenue or profit sharing program. I'll explain a little more about that later. There's no stock options because there's, really isn't any stock. There is a high degree of flexibility. You can do residential real estate, you can do commercial real estate, you could do loans. It's a very flexible environment. What kind of agent is attracted to this particular model? Well, a lot of times they're part-time agents. They're referral agents, and a referral agent is somebody who really doesn't want to show property or join the board of realtors or the multiple listing service, and all they want to do is refer business to somebody else and get a referral fee. Investor agents are people that are investors, right? And they're getting into real estate simply because they think it's going to help them in buying real estate or investing in real estate. And for those who don't want to pay fees, right, there are a lot of fees associated with joining many real estate offices, and the independent is a no fee kind of an option. Then there's the national franchise. An example of that would be Keller Williams. There's more. There's Century 21 and Remax are all franchises. I spent 7 years at Keller Williams and much, much longer at a company called Century 21. Those kinds of national franchises generally have larger monthly fees. Now, for Keller Williams, as an example, the fee can vary a lot by office. In my market area, which is in the Bay Area of San Francisco, there are offices that charge as much as $300 a month, $200 a month, just for the privilege of working there. They have technology, but it's not necessarily the highest level technology, particularly when you look at the company provided websites. Sometimes they look like they were built in the 1990s. There's very limited functionality, but you don't have to pay any extra for them. The commission split is not as high as it would be when you're getting started, in particular with an independent or with some of the other options like the cloud-based brokerage. They have caps at Keller Williams, which means when you reach a certain point, you go to 100% for the rest of that year. In my market, that ranges that cap amount from about $30,000 to as much as $45,000. That's how much money you have to pay the office in order for you to reach 100%. They've got training, but in my opinion, and by the way, I was a certified trainer for Keller Williams. I was the director of training for Century 21 for Northern California and Northern Nevada region at one time. And they do have lots of training, but it's sort of a mid-level, one size fits all, the spin dry 30-day system. They have profit share at Keller Williams. Most of the other franchises do not. I'm frankly still highly ranked in the Keller Williams profit share program, which means that when I introduce people to Keller Williams and they close transactions, I get paid essentially a referral fee or an override. Keller Williams doesn't have any stock options because at this time that I'm making the video, they're a private company and there is no stock. Not as flexible. Again, this varies a bit by office, but generally they have more rules, more limitations as to what you can do. What kind of agents are attracted to a model like that? People that need the brick and mortar building in order to do work and aren't necessarily comfortable working in the cloud or other environments. Then there's the cloud-based brokerage. I'm affiliated with eXp Realty. And at eXp Realty, the monthly fees are much lower. It's $85 a month. And that includes training and technology. The technology is at a much, much higher level. We use a program called KV Core, which is an integrated website. It also has a customer relationship management system. It'll do bulk emails and bulk texting. And you can create landing pages. It's a lead generation platform. The commission split is higher. To give you an idea, a baseline split at a typical Keller Williams might be 70% to the agent and 30% to the office. And the cap, as I mentioned, could be between 30 to 45,000. It varies by office. At eXp, the baseline commission split is 80% to the agent and 20% to the office. And the cap, the point at which you reach 100%, is only $16,000, which is significantly less than you would find at Keller Williams. There's more training. It's a higher level of training, far more training. Every week, there's about 50 hours of training. If you're interested, I could send you a copy of the schedule. And that doesn't mean you need to go to all of it, but it means if you need training in a particular aspect of real estate, we have it. There's revenue share. 50% of all the money that goes into eXp is paid back to the agents in the form of revenue share. So basically, if you introduce somebody to eXp Realty and they join and they close a transaction, you can be paid a referral fee. And then if they introduce somebody and they join and they close a transaction, you can get a fee on that level too. And it goes on for about 7 levels. They're flexible, maybe not as flexible as the independent, but there's a lot more options that you have with eXp. And who's a candidate for eXp Realty? Agents that are comfortable working in the cloud and people that have big goals, right? If you're serious about selling real estate and you want all the training and support that you can get in order to be successful, the most opportunities, that's eXp. So who's worth more? This is an interesting discussion, and these numbers that I'm about to share are based upon March of 2021, right? So these things kind of change. Who do you think is worth more? The value of their stock, Hilton Hotels International or Airbnb? Well, Hilton Hotels International had a market capitalization of $33.606 billion. That's the value of their stock. And Airbnb on the same day had a market capitalization of almost $100 billion. So Airbnb, you understand, does not own rooms all over the world, but Hilton does. But Airbnb is 3 times more valuable than Hilton Hotels. I'll show you where I'm going with this. There's a company called Realogy. Now, you might not have actually heard of Realogy, but Realogy is a relatively big company. You've certainly heard of their brands. They own Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Better Homes and Gardens, ERA, Sotheby's, Coldwell Banker Commercial. They own the Cochran Group, the National Realty Trust, which owns Klein Realty and Zip Realty. They own Cardis, which is an international relocation company, and they own a group of title companies. This is a big company. What is their value? And their market capitalization in March of 2021 was $1.57 billion, not too shabby. Then there's another company called RE/MAX. Now, RE/MAX and Keller Williams both claim they're the largest real estate company in the world for residential. Who knows, right? Who knows? But from RE/MAX's website, they point out that they have over 120,000 agents in more than 100 countries and territories. I'll bet they're worth a lot. And their market capitalization is only $750 million. million. Now, we don't know what Keller Williams market capitalization is because it's a privately held company and they don't sell stock. Then there's EXP International, EXPI World, it's called EXP World Holdings. That is EXP Realty, EXP Commercial. Verbella is a collaboration in virtual workplace. It's actually a competitor for Zoom and that type of things. There's a 3D meeting space program called Frame. Express Offers, which is an iBuyer program. IDX is a way of putting listings on a website, and so people can do searches for them. All of those, plus we've actually added Success Enterprises. I'll talk about that a teensy bit later. So this is at EXP. What is their market capitalization? 5.63 billion. Let's recap. Realogy, that's Global Banker, Century 21, Better Homes and Gardens, ER8, Sotheby's, right? That whole group, 1.57 billion. Remax, 750 million. And EXP is worth $63 billion. EXP is worth more than Realogy, Remax, and several other real estate companies all added together. I bet you didn't know that. There was a recent article in 2021 by The Motley Fool, which is an investment periodical, online investment media source. And the question they asked in this article is, who is the Amazon of real estate? Right? We all know what Amazon has done to retail and what Netflix has done to movies and what Airbnb has done to hotels. Who's doing that in the real estate area? And notice it says in their hint was, it's not Zillow, right? It's not Zillow, it's not Redfin, it's not Open Door. What is it? It says in the article, the conclusion is the company that's actually winning by leaps and bounds is EXP World Holding. And when they analyze revenue growth, and because as he points out, if you want to call yourself the Amazon of anything, you'd better have massive revenue growth, right? So if you look at Zillow and Redfin, you see that, and this is based upon the third quarter of 2020, their revenues had increased 11% at Zillow, less than 1% at Redfin, and EXP World Holdings, the revenues had increased almost 100%. That's why the conclusion was, there's no way I'd buy shares of Zillow, market valued at 30 billion. And part of the reason that that number looks high, 30 billion, is they're including properties that they own in their iBuyer program. If you read the article, when you take that out, Zillow's not doing that well. And their revenue growth is going in the wrong direction. They would rather have, as he said, stock in EXP. So again, why is EXP doing so well? Some of this I've already mentioned. There's the 80-20 commission split up with a $16,000 cap. And then you get 100% after that. There is an override on people that you introduce to the company. And notice the conclusion. This is why EXP World is rocking right now and Redfin is not. EXP World has superior compensation structure for top agents. There's far better execution at EXP World. It's got express offers to compete with iBuyers. EXP World does not have to take an ownership risk in this, but we still have that option. The Amazon of real estate. So we've got the end of the year 2020 highlights for EXP. And in the fourth quarter, revenue increased 122%, year over year, 84% increase in revenue. And the net income in the fourth quarter of 2020 was 885% year over year. We're growing. The number of agents that have joined EXP by the end of 2020 increased 63%. The number of transaction sides for the whole year increased 77%. The volume, which is the value of all the properties sold, increased year over year for the entire year of 2020, 89%. We're growing. And according to Glenn Sanford, the founder, chairman, and CEO of EXP World Holdings, with global operations, our unique cloud-based platform has provided agents a significant competitive advantage in the real estate industry, and they've acquired Success Enterprises, which is Success Magazine plus other parts of it. and they are going to build a competitive value proposition unique in the real estate industry. So one of the questions I get, however, and the way this comes up is somebody will say, well, yeah, I can see EXP is growing, it's doing really well and all that, but in my area, right, in my area, I see more Berkshire Hathaway signs or Keller Williams signs, or I see Compass signs, or I see other people, I see other offices. And they seem to be more dominant in my marketplace. Maybe I should go work there, right? That might make sense because they have more for sale signs in the area that I want to work. Now, that's not necessarily a good idea. In other words, to make a decision based upon the number of for sale signs. First of all, I would say that if I were in a market where there was less EXP market share, that was an opportunity, because as EXP grows in an area, you can receive revenue share if you help the company grow. If it's already saturated, there may not be as many opportunities. And then there's the question of, just because you work at an office that has a lot of for sale signs, does that mean that people are going to want you to list their home or work with you? I met a guy that had joined an office called Intero, which is a Berkshire Hathaway group in the Bay Area. And I asked him, why did you join Intero? Why did you join that company? And he said, because they have a good brand and their name is all over my neighborhood. How long have you worked at Intero? He said 1 year. I asked him how many transactions he's done in the last year, and the answer was, well, none. No, actually none. So the idea is that just because there are a lot of for sale signs with the company, does that mean that people are going to walk into the office and say, hey, you, I want you to represent me? That's not really, the way it works. So the reason I've got this slide is every year, the National Association of Realtors surveys buyers and sellers and asks them questions about the home buying and selling process, some of the answers of which are relevant to our discussion. For example, how do agents meet home buyers? Right? That was one of the questions. Now, notice at the very top, for all buyers, 40% of the buyers said they met their agent because they were or were referred by a friend, family member, or relative, neighbor, something like that, coworker. And another 13% of buyers had used the agent previously to buy a home. So 53% of buyers were referral from people they knew or repeat business. How about cold calling? How about door knocking for buyers? Personal contact by the agent was only 4%, right? And you have a better chance of meeting a buyer at an open house or through your website or through a referral from another broker than you do just calling them. How about what's important to them? How do buyers choose their agent? Now, you'll notice the biggest reason that what they were looking for in choosing an agent was that the agent was honest and trustworthy. Second greatest reason was experience. Family or friend or family member, 13%, reputation is 15%. Notice agents' association with a particular firm, 1%. I'm surprised it's even that high. Buyers generally don't care what office their agent works for. They're much more focused on the house. Well, how about sellers? Maybe they act differently. First of all, how do agents find home sellers? 41% of the time, it was from somebody they knew. 26% of the time, they had used the agent before. Personal contact by the agent was only 4%. That means door knocking, cold calling. Referred by another broker, 4%. Even the website, 5%, is better than that. What would be important to a seller? Maybe they care about what office you're with and how many for sale signs you have in the neighborhood. Well, again, the survey showed that when they asked, how did you pick your agent? Only 1% of the time did they say because of their association with a particular firm, right? It sounds good for a company to tell you, you need our brand. You need us in order to get buyers or sellers. That's not true. right? You will be the brand, and it's far more about what you do than it is what the logo or color scheme is on your business cards. So what about the office, right? eXp is a cloud-based brokerage. So what about the office? Don't I have to go into the office? What are the reasons that real estate agents have physical offices? This is a historical thing. One is to meet people in order to sign contracts, right? Old school, right? We'd print them out, hand people a pen, point, tell them, highlight in a little yellow marker where they're supposed to sign. It's been a long time since I've done that. There's e-signatures. All of this is now done through technology, and rarely do we meet people in the office to sign stuff anymore. To show and discuss listings with clients, that's also being done virtually. Right? You would want the clients to come into the office and you'd have a big screen and you could put the listings and talk to them about it. That could be done virtually. And many of the buyers already have heard of Redfin and Zillow, and they already have looked at them. To have a cooperative environment for agents and brokers. That's what they'll tell you. You got to come into the office. We've got energy, synergy. You know, we're all working together as a team. That sometimes is true, sometimes not so much, but that also can be done in virtual workplaces like what eXp has, which is called eXp World. They hold in-company meetings, right, cramming everybody into a conference room so that the broker can make a presentation and talk about what's going on in the market. Now, as a result of COVID, by the way, you need to understand that most of the stuff has not been happening for over a year, right? And real estate companies haven't failed because of that. They've gone to virtual meetings, which is what is right now, which is working, right? But when are we all going to be comfortable crammed into a meeting room for a long presentation? I don't know. Sometimes agents would use the office because they didn't own a computer, right? I guess, and they would come in to use the computer and that sort of thing. You can get away with a Chromebook in real estate. All you need is a computer that can access the internet because everything is done in the cloud. Sometimes the agents will say, well, I need to print stuff. Don't I need to print stuff? Well, not necessarily, because most of what we do is virtual. And if I'm printing flyers for a house or things like that, I usually send that out to somebody to print for me. An online one, they send the flyers back in a box. I don't go to the office to print stuff, right? But those are the reasons that people normally would go into a real estate office. Now, who are you going to meet if you go into the real estate office? Now, I know this sounds like a negative presentation, and it's true that there are some nice people, some great people, some helpful and friendly people you're going to meet at the office. But there are other kinds of people that you might meet. The first is what I call the 10 to 2 shift. The 10 to 2 shift are the real estate agents who go to the office about 10 o'clock, right, have coffee, chat with people, go to lunch, come back, maybe more coffee, more chatting with people, and then they leave by 2, right? They're generally not productive agents. And a lot of the talking is about how bad the market is and how nobody can make any money. And, you know, it's just not going very well. And it's oftentimes very negative. Well, what about the top agents? Aren't they in the office, you know, giving you a pep talk and all of that? Oftentimes not. You'll find that many of the top agents work from home. They've been doing that for the last year anyhow. And even before that, many of them would work from home. The business isn't in the office. When they would come to the office, they typically would close the door, right? So you can't interfere with them, interrupt them. You know, who are they? Who do they not want to talk to? And a lot of times the top agents do not want to talk to new agents, right? It's not their job. That's not something they want to do. They're busy, and they're busy outside of the office. You also might meet the enemy. And by that, I mean, when you walk into a real estate office, you're going to see other agents giving you a look, and sometimes it's not a friendly look. And why isn't it a friendly look? Because they see you as the enemy. So the mindset of this agent is that there's a limited amount of real estate business and they're hungry. And think of it like this. The real estate market in their mind is like a 10-inch pie. right? And there's only so much pie, and they're hungry, and they don't see enough pie. And now the office keeps inviting all these other people to come and eat pie. And you understand this is not necessarily a welcoming thing. They're not going to be, oh, good, you know, you've been added to the office, less pie for me, I guess, right? So they sometimes view the new agents as the enemy, right? And you actually get that vibe from them when they talk to you. But then there's also the shark, right? And whereas some of the agents may frown at you, others are going to smile and get up and walk over and introduce themselves and welcome you and say, hey, if you ever have any issues or you need any help, why don't we work together? We could be on a team, we could be partners. Isn't that great? Now, why are they doing that? Well, remember, 40% of real estate transactions come from people you know. So what they want to do is they want you to find people that you know that want to buy or sell real estate, and then they're going to help you, you know, and get half of the commission at least, right? And so they see this as a way of taking advantage of you and using your connections for their own benefit. And then there are the teams. And the teams require maybe a different discussion. Because I get oftentimes asked by real estate agents, should I join a team? Why would a new agent in particular want to join a team? Well, they're going to give me buyers and sellers, right? Isn't that right? Won't they just hand them over to me, right? Because they're so busy, the team leaders, that they can't possibly handle another one. They're going to help me with my transactions, right? That's why I want to be on a team. There's field training. I'm going to be out in the field with the team. Now, just let me say this. The idea that the top agent on the team leader, is going to take you on listing appointments as a newbie to sit and watch, you just understand that's not going to happen, right? I'm just telling you that's not going to happen. Right? I want to shadow the top agent. They don't want you to shadow them while they're working, right? Because you might say something stupid, right? You might break something, and there's no reason for them to have you there. So a lot of times they're not going to be up for the field training and open houses, right? That's assuming that the team has a whole bunch of listings and they need help with open houses. By the way, I have a system for getting open houses where you don't have to get them from a team. We can talk about that. But a real question would be, why does the team want you? Now, think about this. You're a brand new agent. You've never closed a real estate transaction. Do you think that there are real estate agents who have closed a real estate transaction actually have an idea of what they're doing? They know how to use the multiple listing service software. They know how to use all the forms. And that there's a group of those people who don't have enough business and would be interested in joining a team. Do you think that there are real estate agents out there with experience that don't have a lot of business? And I'm telling you, the answer is yes. So why doesn't the team want somebody who already knows how to do the basics? Why? And the answer is back to that 40%. And the reason is that that experienced agent has probably already talked to everyone they know. You're new, you're fresh. So if you join the team, one of the things they're going to want you to do is to give them a list of everybody you know, right? And they're going to send an email to them, and they're going to contact them and say, hey, she or he has joined our team, right? And so they see that as a way of tapping into the people that you already know. They also need telemarketers. Many of these teams get lists of homeowners. They have automatic dialers. They need people to call them in order to make appointments for the team. They are running ads on the internet. They get internet leads, which, by the way, as a percentage is a very low percentage, and they want people calling them, right? So a lot of people join the team, new agents, thinking that they're going to just hand over all these leads to me, when in fact, they want you to become a telemarketer to help the team get leads. There's also grunt work. Somebody needs to go put up a lockbox on the property. Somebody needs to go fix something at a property, check the term. There's a whole bunch of grunt work in real estate. And now they have a free grunt, right? That they could have run around and do stuff so the team leaders don't have to do that. And in most teams, all of the branding, that means all of the marketing, all of your email, everything is branded to the team, not you. You're helping somebody else build their business. You're not building your business. Listings oftentimes all belong to the team, not to you. Even if it's your mother's house, right? They're going to want to slap their sign on it, not yours, because you're on a team. Now, not all teams are created equal. At EXP, for example, I have a production team, but you don't have to brand yourself by the team. Your business is your business. I'm not doing this to get your business. You're encouraged to grow out of the team. And most teams don't want you to grow because then they've lost a grunt and a telemarketer, right? They don't want you to grow because you're going to leave the team. I want people to leave my team because they've grown and they've become successful. You don't have to become a telemarketer. Now, if you're choose to do calls, I will help you with that, but that is your business, not my business, because I'm going to give you the training and support that you need. And yes, if there's a chance for you to shadow me, you could, but that's not, I'm just saying, not as likely as you might think. Well, wait a second. If I'm in a cloud-based brokerage, where would I meet clients, right? Where would I meet buyers and sellers? Now, for sellers, a lot of times our initial meeting is virtual. It's either on the phone or it's through Zoom or GoToMeeting or something like that. And then for most sellers, we meet them at the property, wherever that is. I was reflecting back over the decades I've been in real estate, how many sellers came to the office to talk to me about selling their home. I can't think of any. Can't think of any. Right. So typically after you've had a discussion with them virtually, you have to go to their house because you need to see it. Right. So we meet sellers almost always at the property. Well, what about buyers? Again, initial meetings are virtual. Right. We talk to them on the phone. We talk to them on Zoom or GoToMeeting or Google Meet or whatever program that they're comfortable with. Well, what about when we can meet? Because right now, during COVID and the shelter in place and people not feeling comfortable with coming into the office and meeting with people, right? We're doing as much virtual. Well, when that's all gone, where do you meet people? And the answer is oftentimes in coffee shops. By the way, this was true before the pandemic. Because one of the things, I'm in the Silicon Valley area, which let's just say it's a high traffic area. So for me to tell buyers that you have to drive to my office in order to talk to me about buying a house, you understand that might be convenient for me, but it's probably not convenient for them, particularly if it involves rush hour traffic and things like that. So if I'm requiring people to meet me in the office, I have now limited the geographic area that I can work in because I can't get people probably to drive that far just to meet me in the office, right? If that's what they have to do, they might as well meet an agent that's closer to them. So what I always say to people was, and this again is before the pandemic, I would ask people, I'd say, so tell me, we'll meet, but what's your religion, right? And they'd give me, and I'd say, are you Starbucks? Is it Pete's, right? Phil's? Where do you, and they'll usually laugh and they'll say, well, I like Pete's, I like Starbucks, great. Is there one that's near where you live? Do you have a favorite one? Yeah, I do, great. Why don't we meet there? Why don't we meet there? So I would drive, and sometimes during the day, it would be actually in the building where they worked. They would have a specialties. They would have a Starbucks, a Pete's, or it'd be something where they worked, where they were used to going. We would go there and meet with them with a laptop, tablet, that sort of thing. Also, you're going to find, if you want a place to work, find a loan agent. I have a whole program for new agents about how to partner with loan agents. If you're a loan agent, and I called you up and I said, hey, would it be okay if I brought some buyers by right? People interested in buying a house and met them in the conference room at your office. You could introduce yourself, you know. What do you think the loan agent's likely to say? The answer is, yeah, bring them in. We have agents that the loan agent has said, there's a workstation. If you want to use it, come in and use it. I just, you know, I expect to have a shot at all of the buyers and helping them get a loan. And then there's title companies, escrow companies. There are a lot of them. They generally are very receptive to real estate agents. So if I call the title company, I like Chicago Title, and I call my Chicago Title rep and I say, hey, is it possible for me to use a conference room in this city on that day? She'll get back to me and say, I've set it up for you, right? Because if the room isn't being used, the title company will let me come in and use their room. I'm just saying there are a lot of options. So let's say you'd like to know more, right? You've got some personal issues or questions that you would like to talk to me about. Great, give us a call, right? That's my office number, and you can set up an appointment. If you want to email me, send me an email at mdevlin@michaeldevlin.com, or you can just use that link, right? The Calendly link. You're going to be given options. Do you want to do a Google Meet? Do you want to do a Zoom meeting? Do you want to do a GoToMeeting? Do you want to make it a phone meeting? Whatever it is, just reach out to me. Let's set up a time and we'll talk. My experience, what I've been doing for decades now, is helping agents become successful. And what's more important than the name of the office or anything else is who's going to support you when you have a transaction. Who is going to be there to coach you, to mentor you, to help you, and give you direction and support. That's what I do. And reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about that.